How does Yale prepare me to be a physician or a leader? Um, in many ways, Yale actually they actually embrace your whatever your skill set is, whatever your strengths, whatever your gifts, whatever your talents. Often they choose their student body based on those individual characteristics, and in that way, there's a place that you can always fit in here because of the diversity. There's always somewhere that you can fit in and express yourself and really assert those skills to make an impact on Yale. For instance, I was interested in working with underserved populations, including ethnic and racial minorities, but also economic minorities, impoverished populations. And I was able to do that by becoming a leader in the Student National Medical Association, SNMA, who is joined together here at Yale with the Boricua Latino Health Organization. And through that, I was able to, I sat down at the table with every dean of our medical school to have conversations about the needs of minority communities. This idea for putting together this video actually came from the student body, and Yale embraced that, and they made that a part of their agenda because the students said so. And so in that respect, we are all leaders. If you have a concern, if you have an issue, if you have something that you're passionate about, there's a place here for you. I actually also ran a clinic to screen for diabetes and hypertension. That was something very easy that students had established a while ago, and I just simply raised my hand and say, hey, I'd like to lead that. I like to be a part of the New Haven community in that way and help bridge the gap between Yale and New Haven. And so they're very, very positive, very, very supportive. If you need resources, you have the Office of Multicultural Affairs. You have the Dean of Student Affairs, Dean Engoff, who is great. Dean of Education, Dean Belitsky, who is absolutely wonderful, who I've just sat down with and gave him some ideas, and they rewarded us by making it come into fruition. That has been a wonderful experience for me. In what ways do I find support here at Yale? I think first and foremost, the atmosphere, the collegial atmosphere, the freedom with which you can be yourself. You can express yourself in whatever means. I come from a background in which we didn't have a lot of money. I am the first doctor, MD, in my family. I was fortunate enough to have a big sister who got a PhD, but my mom went back to college when I was in kindergarten and graduated well after I was in school. And so I didn't come from a family where education was necessarily attainable to us, but it was certainly a priority. And in that way, when I came to Yale, I did need different resources than maybe some of the other student population. It was difficult for me to even interview in a lot of ways because I didn't have the financial resources. But I just called the Office of Multicultural Affairs. They got me housing with a student. They offered to reimburse me, if I needed help getting plane ticket here. If I ever have needed something, my grandmother passed away. The Dean of Student Affairs, Dean Engoff, offered to pay for the ticket for me to get home to visit my family. My mother has cancer, and so I have to travel home pretty often. And Office of Financial Aid increased my budget just so I can be able to afford to go home regularly to be with my family. And those are the ways in which that you are supported. You just speak it around here, and people take on that responsibility to care for you and look after you. I really feel like I have a family here. The staff of the Office of Multicultural Affairs have been unending resources for me in terms of a listening, caring ear, in terms of encouraging me when I felt like, this is getting tough, medicine is tough, how do I do it, I'm not sure that I can do this. They have encouraged me. Even though Yashika and Linda aren't in medicine, they have often gone to ask deans on my behalf about what I should do about this situation if I'm having trouble in the class. They ask other students, older students. They constantly keep me in contact with students who have graduated, who have been in my situation, and who have made it through. And so that has been wonderful support, as well as the faculty. I just, if you call up a faculty member who you read in the newspaper, have published great books that you read, and they're your idols, you call them up and say, hey, can I just meet with you? I just want to introduce myself. Their door is always open. Mentorship is abundant here. People have been gracious in advocating for me to get various fellowships, to get various scholarships, and things like that. The Child Study Center, for one example, has great mentors. And then finally, the student body. I remember my very first time being absent my first year. My classmate called me up. Her name was Tracy, and said, "Hey, I didn't see you in class today. Is everything okay?" And that's just sort of the way people embrace things here. If they just, if you might not be doing so well, people reach out to you, and they kind of pay attention and kind of notice. And that was very refreshing, to have that kind of community, have those kind of resources. And so the support is never an issue. There's never a lack of support around here. It's just a wonderful place to be, in that regard. Why did I choose Yale? I chose Yale for many reasons. I thought that the curriculum, having the freedom to do student activities and to do community work while studying medicine was something that to me is very unique at Yale, in that they structure the curriculum so that you really feel comfortable being able to do that. It's not only that student groups are available, but that you have the time to pursue those things in the community, and that was very important to me. The fact that the curriculum is set up in a way not to be competitive was very important to me. I am competitive with myself, and I think I'm my greatest critic, but at the same time, I didn't want to be in an environment that seemed negative or stifling, and Yale does not encourage that at all. I liked the fact that there was sort of a no pressure, no grades system, so that you had the opportunity to stumble. You may have done well in academics your whole life, but medicine is a whole different beast. There's a ton of information about the human body, and your motivation for doing well and learning that information should not be to get an A on a test. It should be because you want to save a life. It should be because it's your passion. And Yale understands that, and that's why you don't have all this pressure to perform well on tests, but you have a structure in which you can learn how you learn best, whether it's lecture, whether it's peer groups, whether it's case conferences, whether it's studying on your own in the library, whether it's using computer resources. They give you that freedom and that flexibility. And that was very important to me because I came from a non-science background. I was a women's studies and sociology major, and so transitioning into the hard science, basic science world was a little difficult. But at Yale, I was able to feel my way, fumble my way, as blind as I was when I first got here. And I'm now a third year, and I'm doing very well on the wards, and I absolutely love it. And I appreciate the experience I've had at Yale thus far for that reason. Would I choose Yale again? Absolutely. I would choose it in a heartbeat. I think that having my grandmother pass my first year of medical school, having an ill parent, being under financial constraints, because I come from a working class family, being at Yale was the perfect place for me because they understood those things about me, and they didn't treat them as a detriment. They didn't. Those aspects of my life did not inhibit me, but actually enhanced my experience here in a lot of ways. I have a different perspective on life, a different perspective on patient care, and they have fostered that in a lot of ways and allowed me to continue to be a part of my family's life. And sometimes when you go away to school, you get very bogged down, and I'm so grateful that I found this place. And I often really think and reflect, hey, had I chosen somewhere else, I might not still be in medical school because of my other responsibilities. But at Yale, they understand it. They understand you're a person first, and then you're a student, and then you're the president of this organization, and then you're all these other things. And so I really appreciate that, and that translates to the wards too. Anything ever comes up on the wards, your attendings, your residents are very receptive, very supportive. Hey, do what you need to do. I'm here for you. They'll even offer you medical advice, and really support you in that way. So that has been wonderful. In regards to SNMA BLHO, so the Student National Medical Association is a national association founded at Howard University that was designed to was designed to support underrepresented minorities in medical school as well as get us to this point. And I think that that's a huge issue, the pipeline issue. How do we get from, you know, being kids of color in urban cities or rural settings, wherever, or immigrants, to Yale? Yale often seems unattainable. It was never on my radar. But once I reached out and touched Yale, Yale grabbed onto me and hasn't let me go. And that has largely been because of the SNMA BLHO community here. The student group is the nucleus and the heart and soul of this community, the community of color here. We bring the faculty together and we keep each other lifted up. I can't tell you the countless number of mentors I have, many of whom are physicians now, surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, internists, physicians who I still keep in contact with, who still encourage me, who come back to see our productions like Granum, our big fundraiser for the community, who I call up and say, hey, how do I study for the Step 2 board exam? Or, you know what, I'm really having trouble navigating the wards. I'm having some issues with this attending. How do I address this? These people are here for me. You know, they give you study advice and things like that. So the Student National Medical Association and the Boricua Latino Health Organization is a community, is a family. And I hope it never changes, that it never takes that dynamic. But also we do community work. We reach out. Yale is a wonderful, powerful, resourceful institution in a city that is a large percent minority and has a lot of problems in terms of, you know, education and getting students here, getting students to this point. And so we have a lot of programs like HPREP, health professions recruitment and enrichment program, in which we have a weekend program for high school students interested in healthcare, and we mentor them and we lecture to them and we provide them with resources. We do college applications with them, financial aid workshops for their parents to get them to a school like Yale. Also, we have programs of similar import at the middle school and elementary school levels to enrich their science education in New Haven public schools. We also have schools that address programs, that address HIV and AIDS within the minority community of New Haven. And we also give scholarships to high school students through our HPREP program, and we have a big, huge fundraiser every year where we get the whole Yale community together to help support that. And so, and we're also a part of a larger national network where we go to conferences and we have regional activities, and we reach out in those ways through health fairs and things like that. And so, every institution has an SNMA BLHO. But not every institution is SNMA BLHO as important as it is here at Yale. Many of the changes and many of the advancements that we've had in terms of multicultural education, cultural competency, admissions of ethnic minorities and underrepresented populations have come from this student group. And they have been very, very influential. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love, that you matter here. You and your experience matter here. You and the collective of people who have experiences like yours matter and can mobilize and get things done around Yale. And I think that's absolutely great. And so that's what SNMA BLHO has represented to this school and to me personally as a student. So I went to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia for undergrad. There I decided to major in women's studies and sociology, and I did a Spanish minor. And I had to do all that in the context of my pre-med requirements, and I sort of chose that early on because I figured I'd be doing science the rest of my life, and I had so many interests about so many things, and so I decided to do something that might be considered non-traditional path, in that it was just liberal arts, but I think that it really enhanced it enhances my medical skills in that I really know people and I can sort of understand and put in context their background and things like that. And I'm originally from Oakland, California, moved to Detroit when I was 9, and I consider both places home. And so.
Okay.